Okay. Oh, dear student, remember, I think a couple weeks ago, my cat caught a little bird and I tried to save it, but here it is, it died. So instead of an orchid, I was thinking today, let's do this little bird, and we can do the orchid next week. So I would like you to go to the library, or you might have these birds. Get some of these, but the Peterson Field Guides is really good. It's a classic. It's got beautiful artwork inside, and it's really a pleasure to look at it. And you also can have an idea of how to paint a bird in technical terms. These are probably gouache, so it's a different approach to watercolor, but it's still a water media. And with gouache, you can go. Actually, you would go more typically from. It's opaque, so you can go light to dark or dark to light. It doesn't really matter because you're gonna cover the previous layer with the next one. The paint being opaque. Another good book is the Audubon Society Field Guide, and this has pictures in it. So if you want to copy, unless you have a pet bird, right? If you want to copy, John, you might have, you might have a pet bird. You got all sort of interesting pets. So, but you could take one of these images. I would pick a simple one, an easy one, and then use it as reference. Or of course, you go online, you find as many bird references as you need to. So so let's look at the essential aspects of a bird. Right. So this is a sparrow. I don't know what species, subspecies, of what kind of sparrow it is, but poor thing, it's a sparrow, right? And you look how beautifully aerodynamic the shape of the bird is, right? So sideways too, you see how it's really tapered like the wing of a plane, right? So now let's look now how we could draw a bird very quickly, starting from this essential shape. So I would first draw a tapered form like this, right? Really like this would be the body, the main part of the body. And on top of this, I would put another oval shape, which would be the head, right? So this can give you right away an idea of the pose, the position of your animal, your bird. Also, how big is the head in relation to the body, right? So quickly you sketch it like this, and then you, maybe I should do it with colors, right? So quickly draw this, the taper part of the body, and then the head, right? And then once you have this, you can add the tail. So notice that the tail will be different length, different species, different length, and of course now we want to connect the neck, right? So that the head with the body via the neck, right? So the head, of course, is not going to be so rounded. It's going to be more angular, really depending on the species of the bird, right? And the beak is going to be here like this, right? And the eye, find the position for the eye, and all sort of marking, which we're not going to get into now, right? So you see how quickly, very quickly, your little bird can take shape. Of course, you notice the bird during the summer or during the winter, right? Like your cat, they shed feathers and get skinnier during the summer, and during the winter they fluff up, right? They get more feathers. So now in here I can position my wing, right, like this. And of course, the length of the wing will vary, right, depending on the bird. And so now what I could do here, I could block in the little legs. So what are they? Well, they are more or less halfway the length of the body, including the tail, and I can block in now this little portion of the leg in here. Imagine the bird kind of perched on a stick, right? And maybe the other leg is here, right? And you feel like it's gonna tip over that way, right? So it's not right. So I'm going to change the angle of the leg and make it more like this, right? So that makes it look like more balanced, right? So anyway, so now this would be an easy way for you to block in the general shape of the bird, measure, like we did for everything else, how the ratios between the various parts of the body relate to each other, right? And then from there, you could also start thinking of birds in movement, right? So this bird here maybe is now seen not from the side, but maybe is slightly three-quarters from the front, and is now kind of looking at me, right, and turning the head. Makes sense? So turning the head quickly, and this is the belly of the bird, right? We see the belly here. Now I can see how the tails of a feather are organized, and so on, right? So think of this as these two basic patterns, right? And then attach to them the more and more in detail the forms of the bird. So what I want to do now, I would like to get into some images, some description of the segment of the wing, all right? So let's see, let's block in. Let me block it in first, quickly like this. So right here and here, right? And so this is going to be seen from the dorsal part, from the back side of the bird. It's going to be this, right? Like this. So I don't know if you can see it well properly, but look how cute it is, poor thing, right? So these are going to be the primary, about 10, right? And these are going to be the secondaries. Oh, it's falling apart, poor thing. The secondaries in here, right? These are secondaries. And then I have these wings in here. They are not all there. They fell apart because they, I don't know. I guess it's decaying or something, but it's frozen. So this is the feathers that cover the wing in the back, right? They cover the wing, and these wings are called the scapular because they are above the scapula, or the what do you call it in English? The scapula, right? So okay, so let's see how we can, and of course this is the wrist, right? That's the wrist, right? This portion here is the wrist. So I think it's best for us to draw it from the back because it's more interesting, right? The underwing is the under portion of the wing is not as colorful or as interesting, but so. So let's see the wing, right? So now we have in this portion here, more or less here, right? This portion here, actually I'm going to go back to the color area, color pencil. This is the body of the bird, right? This is the wing, right? And the wing has feathers that cover the primaries and secondaries, right? So the wing covers, the wing covers the feathers that cover the wing on the back. So here I have about, let's say, 10 primaries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, I have 9, right? So now in here I divide them, pretty much like we did with anything so far, right? To establish a known entity, and then within it subdivide the next biggest segment, right, identified now as the primaries and secondaries wings, feathers, right? And then so on. Now I have the space for the primaries. I subdivided in 10 segments. Actually, let me do 10 segments, right? And then the secondaries, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for now, I just need to know how much space they occupy, and later I am going to establish a little bit more precisely the shape of the wing, right? If you hear creaking, it's my cats. They open the doors, they come in, sneaking in, and I only know they're coming in because the door creaks. They are so stealthy. So now, I look at this these wings, these feathers here, and the few of the primaries have a tapering at the very tip, like this, right here. A few of them, not all of them, right? Well, 10. Now I'm going to have two overlapping in here, right? So now there is in here the calamus that divides the feather like that, right? And this is the calamus is asymmetric. Now the secondaries, right? Secondaries feathers. Think it's visible, right? Should be very visible, yeah. Secondaries feathers, right? Such a gray and rainy day. We're supposed to have snow today, but only we got is kind of drizzly, frozen rain. It's dark at 3:30. It's, geez, you know, really in the middle of the winter of our discontent here, right? So, these little bugs are attracted by the light. Okay, so now I can go back over. So see what I could do here. Once I have locked in the main wings in here, I could soften it up if I were doing a drawing, right? Or even watercolor, I could soften it up, and all this stuff is going to still be there, right? It can still be there. I could start painting over it, or I could go over it with a more specific outline, much more carefully, where I kind of eliminate the searching lines, and end up with a really clean drawing. Now I'm gonna do this with a red pencil so you guys can see it better, right? But if you were to paint watercolors, you would go over it with maybe with a pencil, right? With a simple clean line. That is, if you need a high level of detail. You don't need to do this if you want to have a more painterly approach, right? So it really depends on what it is that you want to do. So that, right? See how cleaner it gets, right? Cleaner and cleaner. So some of these pencil, I mean, now the pencils are, well, now it's been for a while now, a few decades actually. You can find watercolor, water-soluble pencil like Carandas or Faber-Castell, and you know, every major brand offers you the possibility of water-soluble or non-water-soluble. So you could, in theory, even start the drawing and draw with a water-soluble pencil, and then maybe using colors similar to the colors of your subject. In this case, I would use a brownish brown color, and then as you paint on it, that mark will kind of be incorporated in the watercolor paint, right? So secondaries, right? This is the secondaries, right? These are the primaries, just like the colors, right? And then add more and more detail. You can see my finger, the woodchuck hunting accident is still here, but much better, right? Okay, so anyway, so now we have the wing covers. This is the wrist, right? And here I have a few little feathers sticking out like that. See, that is at the wrist, right? This typically come out like this, right? That's the wrist. We can put it here, right? A few feathers like that, right? And over here now I have these feathers that cover the back of the wing here, right? Each bird can have more, etc., depending on the size of the wings, etc. And they go all the way down here. But you see how here I have also a pattern. See that, a pattern there? That's similarly, all this pattern here is similar to all the patterns that we have been studying so far. The patterns in the pine cone, the pattern in the fish scales, the pattern in the snake scales, scales. So the same things. So I could start organizing these patterns in here, right? In my subject, in the upper portion here, right? Using pattern like that. And then maybe slightly bigger feathers in here, but now they kind of start overlapping. See that? So you really want to study the specifics of the pattern of the feathers of your bird, because they're going to be different, right, from subject to subject, right? So now what I would like to do is I would like to start a quick watercolor wash, so that it may be coloring a wing like this, so we can start seeing how to develop a drawing of the detail of a wing. I'm gonna take a few minutes now.